everyone, and welcome to the 72nd episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Monday, September 20th, 2021, and I'm your host, Vikar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist and engineer, a lecturer, and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence and is titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a speculative work. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Amazon book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm very interested in how science and technology influence world affairs and the big questions facing humankind. Studying at the confluence of the great disciplines of human history, political science and thought, international affairs, science and technology, offers a deep understanding and pedagogically important lessons of how advances in human endeavor have influenced and impacted civilization. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies and on the impact AI is expected to have or is already having on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with others if you find the content valuable. Thank you. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 71, I spoke about deepfake videos and their use in the pornography industry. In today's podcast, episode 72, I'll speak about the growing concern about the potential of artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics as a viable alternative to human workers in contemporary labor markets. Let's get started. Amongst the most unsettling attributes of Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies and their implications for life in the 21st century has been the potential of artificial intelligence to displace humans in an ever-increasing number of occupations. Following the birth of civilization in Mesopotamia about 12,000 years ago, humankind began to compete in their local communities for jobs based primarily upon their skills and largely in roles related to agriculture and food production. With the passage of time and the increase and diversity of trade with adjacent societies, humans began to compete with disparate villages, towns, cities, and provinces. Thousands of years later, following the emergence and proliferation of multinational corporations in the late 20th century, the competition expanded to neighboring nations and even continents. But with the arrival of the 21st century and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, humankind has begun to realize that they must now compete not only with vast and competitive labor markets located around the globe, but increasingly with artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics. Along with other factors, this new and unsettling reality has significantly contributed to society's dramatic decline in faith in democracy as a viable system of governance for the future. and of capitalism and free markets as a fair and sustainable economic model. Naturally, when people find their daily lives consumed by fear and uncertainty, they will question the prevalent economic and political systems under which this fear and uncertainty has emerged. Such disquiet regarding governance, markets, and society's growing insecurity is not confined to the world's leading economies in North America and Western Europe either. In fact, it is also present in China, a highly authoritarian state with a market economy similar to that of the West. Both the Chinese and Western models of governance and markets are producing a few enormously successful and extremely wealthy individuals, particularly those who now assert control over humankind's data, whilst the rest of the society struggles with frightening increases in economic, food, health, housing, and overall insecurity. This climate of fear and uncertainty in the lives of such large segments of society is likely to result in overall domestic insecurity, with significant potential of spreading across geographies to other nations as well. This insecurity can result in benign, periodic flashpoints of social unrest to more endemic and violent confrontation between various groups in the streets, broadly aligned according to social strata, as well as along ethnic and racial lines. These acute feelings of insecurity have the very real potential of fomenting revolution, and we know from the historical record that revolutionary outcomes are notoriously deadly, destructive, long-lasting, unpredictable, and violent. The rate of advancement and improvement in technology today requires workers to constantly train and retrain if they have any chance of remaining relevant. And this is understandably very challenging for most workers, particularly older ones. Interdisciplinary skills and versatility are now an unmistakable requirement for anyone wanting the chance to survive in today's global labor markets. But transitioning from a job as a dock worker, whose job has been replaced by automation, to a role as a data scientist is a highly improbable outcome, and thus an unrealistic expectation. With regards to versatility, companies are increasingly cross-training their workers to minimize their staffing needs. But this is also very difficult and demanding for many workers, once again, particularly amongst the older ones. Further exacerbating the challenge for 21st century workers in the United States are America's tax policies. For businesses and their shareholders, fiscal policy favors investment in capital equipment over labor, so selecting AI, automation, and robotics over human labor is the more financially desirable path. The situation in today's labor markets remains very fluid. It's currently not possible to articulate a clear set of behaviors or rules to the society that they will need to follow if they are to ensure a secure future for themselves and their families. There is no longer any basis upon which to offer any economic guarantees or certainties, and there is no secure retirement that people can look forward to with any confidence. Given the current environment and the unmistakable trajectory of the labor markets, we can also expect to see a net loss of jobs during this decade as AI, automation, and robotics increasingly replace humans in many roles that are either repetitive in nature or do not require strategic thinking. In fact, last year, labor economists in Germany projected that 800 million jobs will be either directly or indirectly affected by the adoption of artificial intelligence over the course of the current decade. And these developments are likely to result in an overall reduction in the availability of new jobs that can be done by human workers versus AI, automation, and robotics. With 9 million new graduates expected in 2021, Chinese companies receive hundreds of thousands of applicants and are thus increasingly turning to artificial intelligence agents just to screen these applicants efficiently using facial expressions, voice intonation, and the content of their answers. Thus, we see that artificial intelligence is asserting itself in virtually every aspect of the labor market's ecosystem. The overall direction of the developments in labor markets as artificial intelligence increasingly emerges as a superior alternative to human labor must not be ignored by elected leaders in national administrations or legislatures. Failure to act at a national and international or United Nations level to contain this growing challenge that affects so much of humankind will put us in a position where we no longer have any way to contain the crisis, and the events and the consequences will be both devastating and irreversible. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts under 20 minutes. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Vicar Saidi.